Hey everybody, my name is Malik Foster, and welcome to the Counterpoints podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm joined by my fellow co-host today.
Hey everybody, I am your next co-host. My name is Samantha Adams.
And I am Everett Stevenson, one of your last co-hosts for the day. And this week we have a topic, shout out to the fathers out there. And we kind of wanted to talk about the fatherhood within our community and in general, and look at a few different ways in which we've seen it evolve, we've seen it develop, as well as ways in which there's room for growth if we think that there's room for that. And other viewpoints from it. So in a minute here, we're going to get ready to start a video that kind of introduces one of our first views on the issue. And after that, we'll have a little conversation about that and move a little bit further into the discussion into the development of what we believe fatherhood looks like within our community.
And the way in which they raised us. Whoever taught black men to be fathers? I think we're doing a good job considering, an excellent job considering what we've been through. We were never meant to be men. We were never meant to be fathers, because if we were fathers on the plantation, it meant that our children would listen to us before they listened to the person upstairs.
Great point.
And the moment we had any type of control on the plantation, they sold us or killed us, because they had no room for anybody with power. Black people on plantation. So now here we are, 1865, so to speak, and they emancipate us, and now we're supposed to be fathers. Well, who taught us how to be fathers? From cradle to the grave. We're never fathers. We had no example of what a father was. The best that we had was Fiddler. Kunta Kinte had Fiddler. That was the best he had for a father. Now we're just coming up what Bob Marley calls our sleepless slumber. And now we're coming to realize what a father really is. And the way in which they raised us. Whoever taught black men to be fathers?
So I think it was an interesting point brought by the conversation there. The gentleman just mentioned, and I think it's one point that we can point out too, was just his age in general as well. A lot older than us. So I think, the time in which he came up and the way the things that he may have seen things done may be a lot different from our age and today. But I think it still withstands the topic of, is it an issue that has an effect on today's society for maybe the majority of men or majority of men who aren't, fathers and being good fathers to their children that they do have. So anybody want to give their opinions on it?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yes, sorry, I couldn't unmute. I do. One of the things that I disagree with him on is Black men not being meant to be fathers. Language is important. So, I don't think that it's that Black men were not meant to be fathers. It's that they weren't taught, right? I think that those are two different words. Meant means like predestined. Like what were you created for? I personally believe in the Bible, and the Bible says that, when God had his conversation with Abraham, he told him he would be the father of many nations, right? You can't be the father of many nations if you're not meant to be a dad. So I do think he did have a valid point with regards to taking that power away from the Black man. We have done a podcast. We actually did a series on the Willie Lynch letter. So for those of y'all who have never seen it, please tap into it because it's really educational. And we dig deep into the breakdown of Black people with the family, the Black family, blah, 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 with the Black family, right? And the negative impacts that it's essentially had on Black men and women in the ways that it is carried over generationally. Now, with regards to not having the power, it's going to be difficult, right? Because you have the mom there who's pretty much raising and protecting her kids, and the father who is being emasculated because they don't want the men to rise up against them on the plantation. And so I do think he definitely had a point. So then, because that was true for a lot of things. Once 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 we were emancipated, I think that we weren't given any really tools other than to work and be in the fields or in the house or whatever, right? So we didn't really know the proper way. But the thing is, love always conquers, right? And I think that over the years, over the centuries and decades and all that, we have learned a lot as it relates to what it looks like to be. I mean, I'm saying we, but I mean men, Black men have learned what it looks like to be a good father, right? Because look at how Black folks continue to flourish, how we continue to survive, right? And sometimes that's in spite of not having a father, and sometimes it is because you had one. So I think that it's important to recognize that, there may not have been very many role models, but I do believe that at some point in our history, we figured it out. And I don't think it's like we are still learning, but I do think, because, there was a point where the Black family was, they stayed together, they raised their kids together and all that. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't include them in the discussion, because there were plenty of Black fathers out there doing what they had to do to make sure that their children were taken care of.
Yeah, I wanted to say his point was very interesting. I think he's talking about it from a historical perspective of how, Black Americans here were, brought over here as slaves, most of them, not all, but most, and that they were in that servitude position for a long time. So they weren't meant to be, they weren't meant to be, proper fathers, or what people would deem as a good example of fathers, because of the design breaking of the families and homes of that nature. However, throughout time, Black families did come together. They were the most married and close. Maybe it was due to force because of this current situation. So they had to be that way. But either way it goes, that's how it went down in history in terms of being most married and stuff like that. And you can look at that statistic on blackdemographics.com. So it shows you how they were the most married at one point out of all the groups in the United States, right? So that's one point. But I do think today it's like when it comes to the home and family structure, it is kind of broken throughout the whole country, and we do need to come together to remedy that issue, and we have to do our part on that. But I do disagree, like you saying, like you said, meant to be fathers. I think, I disagree with that, because there's some interference. Maybe there's some things that outside factors are doing, some things inside factors are doing, some things that Black men are doing that prevent, the best examples of fatherhood, I should say. So I think that's what it is. Not necessarily they weren't meant to be. So that's one of the points I kind of disagree with him on. It's like, I get where he's coming from a historical perspective. They were meant to be something else. I agree with that, but things change over time, and time has passed. So, it's been almost like over 100 years since slavery has happened. So well over that. So I can't keep on that same one. That's one time. That's an argument I would like to say. Hey, we have enough examples of good Black men to say that we move past that. I would like to say, and so I think we can move forward from that issue.
Yeah, I think when he said that statement, it was more so like referencing it to the point of, again, people didn't have rights at one point in time. You know what I'm saying? So we all can acknowledge again the fact that when you're not even considered to be a man, you know what I'm saying, you're less alone considered to how to be a father. Because, we say look at those two things as synonymous. I think when we look at the situation in general, I don't really think it was more so him truly believing that Black men aren't meant to be fathers. I think it was more so him like kind of referencing that time frame, or referencing a certain period of time, in America. But as you all both stated, over the times, the decades that have passed, I think we have been able to see great examples of fatherhoods being achieved, where you've seen people work with their kids and push them to higher heights, believe in them, you know what I'm saying, support them, things of that nature, or nurture them, all of the things that we think that, you know, being a parent involves, you know, providing for them as well. So I think we've seen fathers do all of those things within our communities and excelled at them as well. And to the point that you made earlier too, Malik, we've seen them do that in droves within our own community with women that they may be with or married to or with in general. I I really think that though, like when he kind of referenced it, it was more so speaking to how things have to kind of be developed over those times. Like people have to either want to learn to be better or had seen examples of being better and decided that that's what they want to commit to. And I think ultimately like that goes from not just fatherhood, but I think it goes to that's like a key of life, right? That you know what I'm saying. At any point, you have to be willing to want to do better in order to be better. And I think as things opened up for us as a community, we've been able to see fatherhoods and fathers become more and more stronger, more and more active, become more and more involved within the child rearing process. You know, it was a point in time where you might not see dads change diapers or do certain things with kids, but now we have dads doing all stay at home dads type as well. So it's definitely changed a lot over the decades, and I think that we, especially within our community, we've been seeing fathers do an excellent job, not only just raising prodigals in sports, but also within young geniuses as well. And that's a collaborative factor. I'm not just trying to say that it's only the father trait, but I do think that a lot of it adds into it as well when a young man does have that, or a young woman does have that fatherly figure in their life. I don't know if you guys wanted to go on to the next clip. Where we can talk about, or not necessarily a clip, pardon me.
Yeah,
but, the next situation.
I do, but one of the things I wanted to push back a little bit towards is also to the theory that Black men, and I thought about this while you were talking, so I may sound a little contradictory in my statement only because I just thought about it. Just because a Black man didn't have power during slavery doesn't mean that he wasn't a father. He just maybe was stripped of his ability to fully rear his children the way that he wanted to, much like mothers were. Mothers were forced to have to protect their children more so because of, the dynamic and the way that the slave master, destroyed the family at each plantation, right? And I say that to say because, there are plenty of fathers out there that have paternal instincts. It is their goal to still continue to try to protect their children and their families and the things that they need to do and provide, right? Teach, rear them up, do the things that you have to do. So I don't think that Black men have been completely disarmed as it relates to how to be a father, which is why, because I do believe some of that stuff is instinctual. Just like mothers have instincts, fathers do too. And I think a lot of times that gets lost, right? I think a lot of times people forget that men have the ability to have a certain form of intuition and discernment and be able to do the things that they need to do to rear and take care of their children. I, for one, am a product of somebody who was raised by my father, right? And so with that being said, it doesn't take anything away from my mom or anything like that. But, my dad did what he had to do for me. And so I believe that there are fathers out there throughout history, including slavery, right? Where fathers were able to do the things that they could do, even if they were limited in those things, to be able to take care and raise up their children. I do believe that also too, the way society, has been structured and some of the ways that Black men have been robbed of their abilities and powers to do the things they need to do throughout history. I think, some of those effects that we've talked about before as it relates to the Black family today still impact fatherhood. One of the ways in which they impact fatherhood. So there was a clip that I saw. I couldn't find it. I would have showed it to you guys. But pretty much in this clip, this mother is in front of a building. It looks like an office building. So it could have been an auditorium or something, some kind of place. Could have been a hall, or I'm not really sure what the building was. Long story short, this man is trying to walk into the building. He is the father of a girl that's graduating. I don't know if she's graduating kindergarten. I don't think so. I think it's probably like high school, could be middle school, something like that. But he's trying to go to his daughter's graduation. And the mother, rather than being inside at the graduation, is outside filming him, telling him he cannot come into this big flipping building to watch his daughter graduate because she has a restraining order. She has the restraining order. So that means he can't be within, I think, 300 yards or 300 feet. I'm not really sure what it is, but he's not there to see her. He wants to see his baby. Now, legally speaking, yes, he is supposed to stay whatever that distance is in that restraining order, right? Away from that woman. But she makes it clear that the restraining order is one that she has against him. It's not one where the daughter, there's no restraining order with the daughter, okay? But the daughter has a restraining order against the father. There's nothing restricting him from being around his child. And so what becomes frustrating in watching the video is she's standing outside filming him saying, hey, you're violating the restraining order. You're not supposed to be around me. And he is trying to get away from her. He just keeps saying, look, I'm not here for you. I came to see my daughter graduate. I want to see my baby graduate. She's graduating. I'm her father. You're telling me I can't go see my daughter graduate because of a restraining order? She's my daughter. And it's incredibly frustrating to watch because this woman is doing everything in her power to keep him from seeing his daughter graduate. I think that one of the things that infuriates me about it is that our system isn't set up in a way, and I don't think it's set up it's not set up in a way that's always conducive to fathers. We all know that, right? And when you have situations like this, why should he have to miss the graduation because he's at odds with the mom? Now, I don't know what she has a restraining order for. Could he have been abusive to her in the past? Absolutely. And he probably should be staying away from her. But there's also a possibility that he hasn't been. And she got the restraining order out of spite and just wants him to stay away, period. And she's using it as a weapon because there are some women that do that as well, right? And so it's kind of unclear as to what that's about because nobody ever says. But the fact that she is going through such lengths to keep him out of this graduation and she's threatening to call the police. My thing is, if she felt that threatened, she would have just called the police instead of standing outside, missing her own daughter's graduation, right? Now imagine you're the daughter. You're having one of the happiest days of your life, and your parents outside arguing about whether or not your daddy can come. That's infuriating. That's frustrating. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of times that goes missed. And so as far as that dad is concerned, I think that fathers need more protections when it comes to the laws and their ability to be fathers to their children. Now, granted, if it's a deadbeat and he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, he's not doing, he's never mind abusive to the mom. If he's abusive and stuff to the child or neglectful, then all right, he can go ahead somewhere. But when you have dads out here that are really out here doing what they're supposed to be and really trying to take care of their kids, I think that they deserve to be protected as well, right? Because children need them. And I think that a lot of times it goes missed. So, I don't know what you guys think about that, but I'm interested.
Yeah.
Well, me personally.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think, choosing the mother of your child is definitely going to be a major factor, or is a major factor in not only just the ability to see the child, but also in the way that, you can rear the child, and develop them as well. I think, having a united front is always going to be one of the best ways with that. And, even if you guys can learn to be able to disagree but do it civilly, that would be one of the like ways in which you can teach another lesson to your child to have a difference, but discuss it and use their words to handle the situation as opposed to other methods, and that's things that I think that need to be learned and that need to be observed in order for the child to kind of be balanced and well received. So those type of situations, like the one you described, where the father might have a lot of difficulty getting access to the child, are bad situations, and ones that, like you said, I wish we could get a little bit more support from courts with that towards fathers, because it's definitely something that we see a lot of guys go through and still have to, deal with other issues on top of that with their, trying to raise their child the right way, trying to enforce some of the discipline and things that they're looking to establish within the development of their youth.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, obviously, what a woman who has a child with a man should not be using a child as collateral or some sort of thing that holds over that man, because obviously the man's gonna have a relationship with the child that's gonna be different from the woman, his baby mama. So like it's gonna be a different dynamic and a different relationship. And a woman using the child as collateral, using the child to essentially blackmail and control and try to punish the man because their relationship didn't work out is not right. So that's number one. I think number two, a point to help. I think what we can do as men, black men, is just build yourself up to be the best person you can be. Because if you're working on improving yourself, I strongly feel like the women will follow suit. And I think that's an area that a lot of black men lack sometimes. They're not motivated to build and stuff. They're playing too many games per se. I would like for them to step up a little bit more. I'm not saying they haven't stepped up, but obviously they could do a better job. So when, black women don't respect you, they're not going to, be cooperative, right? And as you already know, the court system against us, a lot of systems are against you, against men, really, when it comes to relationships with women in this country, especially parental rights and all of that stuff. So in order to combat that, I think you really need to work on building your communities up, make sure you're donating and funding the right causes, and being a good example in the community, somebody a child could look up to be inspired to be, stuff like that. So how this correlates to Black fatherhood is when Black fathers are showing that example in the community, they will get that respect that I feel like, they're really underappreciated already. But I think there'll be more positive media coverage and spotlight shown on Black fathers in order for them to get that recognition that they deserve. So that's my response to your question, Sam.
I definitely think that we've been hitting on some pretty good topics with that. I want to say, like, when you brought up a good point too, like when we look at, Black fatherhood today and how it is, I'm one of the subscribers that you can't really look to the outside for inner, what I'm saying, belief, especially like if you are of color like we are, just because it's not going to always be a lot of positive imagery that you may see. So sometimes you have to seek, higher learning. Sometimes you have to seek deeper development. And a lot of times that may come from within. And I think as we look at, Black men as Black fathers in this community, I think the more that we find guys who are doing that work, who are putting themselves in position to, look to develop for themselves, look to develop for their people, their community, their families, all of those things, being a part of something bigger than themselves. those are the individuals that we would like to see more light being shed on. And I think those are the ones that's going to have a bigger impact on the youth that we have out here today, because it's trying times, not just for the youth growing up, but just even the world that they're growing up in. I think more than ever, fathers and parents have to deal with the issue of gun violences in schools and things of that nature. That's something that no other generations have ever had to kind of face prior to this one. And those are concerns that, not a lot of fathers may be able to try to be able to do, because one of the biggest things is, being a protector of your children, right? And then it's like you sending them off sometimes. So, I think there's a lot of challenges in today's world that parents have to face that they may not have before. But I think that we're equipped to doing it, and
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
don't know
he's
what
having
happened.
technical difficulties over there.
Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and say this until he comes back. Black fathers are needed. Black fathers are important. And I think one of the things that you touched on, Malik, was the media. And I don't think we talk about that. We talked about that enough. And it's the imagery of the Black father, not necessarily just the image of the Black man, but the image of the Black father, right? In the media. A lot of times we hear people crack jokes and make statements about how Black fathers are completely absent, when in actuality, that's not true. It's okay.
Did mine just cut off real fast?
Yeah.
I don't know what just happened there.
Yeah.
But I was about to wrap it up. Yeah, my fault.
Yeah,
but
go ahead and
think,
finish your point, and I'll jump right back in.
Just fatherhood in general can also extend to not just your own biological children. It can also extend to helping out to raise children in your neighborhood, helping out to raise, help with certain lessons. You know what I'm saying? Well, the kids, I'm not saying actually raise them, but doing a part that you can do, a part to let them know that, hey, one, somebody cares about you, and two, somebody wants to see you do better. I think that's another big part of it. I think, like I was saying earlier on, also encouraging young kids, you know what I'm saying, to understand that they are someone worth being here on this earth to be, and it's their job to figure out what that's about. You know what I'm saying? Encourage them to develop their minds. And I think that's when we'll really get a chance to see, our community really take off to the heights that we would like to see.
Yeah. And so what I was just saying, what you missed when you were having the technical difficulties, one of the points that Malik had touched on that I thought was really good, that we should actually give mention to, is the media image of Black fathers, right? The way the Black fathers are portrayed in the media is that they're absent, or that they're just halfway there. They're not doing the things that they're supposed to be. And we know that that's not true. Statistics have proven that to be completely false, but that doesn't stop the narrative, right? I think that it's important for us to also to continue to try to push a better narrative, a more positive image of Black fathers in our society, right? Because they're so necessary. Like, we can sit here all day and talk about how little boys need their fathers, little Black boys need their Black fathers, but little Black girls need their Black daddies too. You know what I'm saying? And I think because we need to know how to be treated. If we know the proper way to be treated, we do a better job of picking a mate later, right? And so it helps to eliminate, it's not going to completely eliminate, but it helps to eliminate the cycle of just finding ourselves, Black men and women, in these horrible relationships because we keep choosing poorly. You see what I'm saying? And so I think that also is something that's incredibly important, because the way that Black fathers are viewed in society is not good, despite the fact that they move contrarily to the way that they're presented out there with the media propaganda. Because we always have to keep, as Black people, we have to keep in the forefront of the mind that there are people that are still out there to destroy Black folks, Black families, right? Because we are smart, we are incredibly strong, we are resilient, we are an amazing group of people, right? And because we are the dopest people on the planet, in my opinion, People don't like that. So they try to do what they can to stop it, stop our shine. And despite the fact that we continue to bounce back, no matter what they put in front of us, we still struggle with so many things because of the way things were. We were brainwashed and robbed of our identity when we got here to this country. And so, we just have to continue to edify ourselves, educate ourselves, and grow ourselves, uplift one another, be unified, and do the things that we need to do. We have to do the work, though. Like, nothing is going to grow. We are only going to make teeny tiny steps until we find ways to unify. And I think that was something that you said, E, that I found important too, when you said, in order for us to grow internally, we can't keep seeking outside help. Like, we have to build ourselves up internally. Like, yeah, if somebody's sick in the mind and they go see a therapist, that might be good for them. But therapy is, I don't care if you go to a regular doctor because you have a physical ailment, if you go to a mental health professional because you have a mental health ailment, whatever the problem is, nothing works unless you do the work on the inside yourself. Nothing. People can sit there all day and give you advice and tell you what to do and all that other stuff, but it's just words unless you put action to it. And that action has to be something that you put within yourself. And that all goes to portions of self-love. So I think within the diaspora, we have to continue to grow each other and love on each other and build each other up, because there's so many forces against us. And us being against us is never, ever, ever, ever. So, we have to continue to encourage Black fathers to be the amazing men that they are, and being the amazing role models and heroes and protectors and providers and, all of the things that you look and hope for in a dad. So, that's just my take on some of the solutions, with regards to that.
Yeah. Some of my solutions is regarding the negative impact on fathers and just overall fathers, but really in particular Black fathers, because I do feel like they get the worst rap. So that's where my focus is. And plus, I'm a Black man, so it's near and dear to my heart. I think, what we can do is, focus on the things that help the community as a whole, right? Building, setting a good example of being in the community, being a man, providing, protecting, doing the things that men do on a daily basis, and also, punishing those that get off the code and monitoring things better, because, certain behaviors, inappropriate behaviors, aren't acceptable, and pointing that out and letting people know that's not going to fly in the community. I think that's imperative to help the community grow as well, because there's a lot of behaviors that men and women do that are inappropriate, and then some people might just let it slide because of certain reasons or because they're trying to be cool or whatever stupid reason is. Just gotta call that kind of stuff out so you can be a better example in the community. And by doing those kind of things, working on yourself, working in the community, I think things will get better overall, because it's a group thing. There's a reason why, as a community, it takes a village to raise a child. So as a Black father, you need the help of the village to help you, because not only are you working to help yourselves, to help your family, help the community out, you're very busy, right? If you're really, trying to be a productive, competent, intelligent man on this world. So, you're going to need help of others. So you want to set that example so people are inspired to, help lift you up. Rising tides lift all boats, right? As they say. So, so I'll end it with that.
Yeah, so while I'm in here going over some solutions real quick, I think that one, again, looking towards ourselves, for that, trying to find positive imagery of Black people within a community would be another one that I think is another way that we can find, that solution of finding, positive imagery. I think sometimes, just being more observant, because I think a lot of times, as we've discussed in prior shows, we know, the Black father is one of the most involved fathers out of all races. generally. So we can say that fathers are involved, and they are, around, whether it's, cheer classes, or whether it's, the daddy-daughter dances and things, or whatever type of events that's going on. But I do think that some ways in which we can maybe see Black fatherhood look a little bit better is if we can maybe have it in situations in which we just continue to show more positive imagery of fathers and the way that they're continue to move within our community. I think that's the biggest way that we can make that biggest impact. And guys, even if you're not a father, just do what you can to help grow somebody else up. I think that's another great way for us to show a positive imagery. So now after that, I do want to go take a second to do the motivational minute for a second. And again, I think it's something that we kind of discussed earlier today. When we're looking at fatherhood, it's just a one of respect and thanks, one of honor to the fathers out here who are doing the things that they need to be doing, as well as the ones who are getting on track to doing the things that they need to be doing. We want to just show love and appreciation to everyone. Our own fathers, we want to thank them for, the great jobs that they did in helping to raise us, and other family members who have played father figure roles in our lives as well. So I wanted to dedicate this moment to them, as well as, kind of show love and homage to all our good friends that are fathers, a lot of other people that I know that's in my life that are good positive images of people that, of Black fatherhood. And so with that being said, I want to go ahead and transition us into our book of the month, which is Finding Me by Viola Davis. Finding Me by Viola Davis. You guys can check that out. And last but not least, we want to go ahead and let you guys know our Black business of the month, which is, again, Big Fine Lingerie by Tina Marie. Once again, ladies, you can find you out there, fellas, find something for your woman at Big Fine Lingerie by Tina Marie. So we want to thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Counterpoise Podcast. We can let you guys know that we'll be live every Wednesday night for our What's Up Wednesdays. You can catch us on Instagram at around 8:30. We appreciate you guys. Please like, follow, subscribe, share. Also, let us know if you got any questions, comments, concerns. You guys can catch us here on YouTube with in our comment section. Feel free. Otherwise, you can catch us on Instagram. All of our socials will be tagged here momentarily. But with that being said, I just want to let y'all know, let's have a good one. I don't know if anybody else want to drop anything else.
Yeah, I just wanted to add about Big Fine's Lingerie by Tina Marie. It is the demographic is BBWs, right? Because a lot of times big women have a harder time finding lingerie. So that is what that line is to, and the link should be posted right here at the end. But otherwise, everything that E just said, I second that. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend and tell a friend. Make sure you follow us. And we love y'all, and we'll see y'all Wednesday, unless you had something, Malik.
No. I echo y'all same sentiments here. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week and at What's Up Wednesday.
Yep. Well, then that's that. So with that being said, you guys have an amazing rest of your weekend, and we'll see y'all Wednesday. And please be good to me.
All right.